Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. The Virgo season in September warns us to brace ourselves for the oncoming tremors and tempests in life. Forewarned is actually forearmed. This month, 6 planets in total will be retrograding through the cosmos. 5 of them stationed retrograde prior to this month, and they're all outer planets. Uranus in Taurus on August 24th, Jupiter stationed retrograde in Aries on July 28th, Neptune in Pisces on June 28th, Saturn stationed retrograde in Aquarius on June 4th, and Pluto in Capricorn retrograded last April 28th. So the only planet that will actually station retrograde this month is Mercury, and it will be in its retrograde position from September 9th onwards. So by now, you must be quite acclimatized with these retrogrades. They're actually nothing to be feared. We only need to be cautioned and keep in mind that whichever house they are occupying in our natal charts, that needs to be examined. That sector of our life needs to be examined, evaluated, retrieved, elevated, reinstated, severed, or relinked and resolved. This is the universal's way of giving us indications that we always need to focus on a particular area of life and work on it for a smooth functioning during that particular period. So it's like an indication. The universal intelligence gives you an indication. It's like diverting our focus on the area of life which is important for that particular time of the year in accordance to the universal intelligence. So, if you understand the secrets of surviving through the retrogrades, you will actually find yourself thriving during the period. The planets work as a great support system to not only the nature but also to us as individuals. The past months, I understand, have been a kind of chaotic, and rest assured, if you handle the Mercury retrograde with the calmness required, you will sail through the next couple of months very smoothly. So, with the passage of time, awareness of astrology has actually increased, and people are more interested in understanding logically as to what causes a planetary retrograde. All planets, with an exception of Sun and the Moon, retrograde. So, this September, it looks as if instead of progressing forward through the zodiac from one sign to another, Mercury appears to reverse through whatever sign it was in when the retrograde started. It's an illusion, but we experience a stalling in matters or energies related to the planet affecting that particular house, the particular house that it traverses. Understand the planets by themselves do not spin backwards, they just appear to move backwards from our viewpoint on Earth. It's an optical illusion, and due to the relative positions of the planets and Earth and how they move around the Sun. Now, Mercury is the closest planet to the Sun, and its orbit is shorter than the Earth's, a mere 88 days compared to our 365 days, which means that Mercury experiences 4 years in the time it takes us to complete one orbit of the Sun. So, Mercury's shorter orbit creates an optical illusion in that it appears to speed past the Earth, slow down, and then move in a backward loop, giving us the retrograde. So, one can compare it with the racetrack. The inner track is always shorter than the outer track, or when the fast train you are sitting in overtakes the slow train at a great speed, the slow train appears to be moving backward. This is how the planetary retrogrades work from our vantage point. So the Earth sees Mercury ahead, but since the Earth moves faster, it overtakes it in some time, and Mercury appears to go backward in the sky. So it's an illusion, but a meaningful one symbolically. Whether Mercury moves forward or backwards in the sky, it definitely activates the Mercury issues as it goes. Mercury is very well known by the name charlatan or a trickster. So when it's retrogrades, its influence works inversely. Its energy intensifies and situations seem to go out of hand or off center. So, in spite of all this, one can consciously work with the Mercury retrograde and use the intense energy much to our advantage. Many people also buy into the myth that all bad things or wrong things happen in their life when Mercury goes backward, or believe it causes nothing but problems. Just give it a thought. If an individual tends to miscommunicate or is inarticulate in his speech, messes up the travel plans or misses appointments, loses things, and deletes important mails, do you think this will be a repeat in every retrograde for it? The truth is, things do go wrong under Mercury retrograde, particularly with communications and foggy minds, all of which can be annoying, inconvenient, and frustrating. But you can prevent and avoid these effects and use it to your advantage. For example, as the Mercury retrograde stations, when it pauses, start evaluating, examining, reviewing the work already in process, recheck everything before moving forward. So the periods just before Mercury goes retrograde and just after it goes direct again are known as the shadow phases. During the shadow phases, the energies you feel are very intense. This is because the start and finish of any cycle in astrology is considered potent. Now, the pre shadow phase before Mercury goes retrograde indicates that we need to prepare for its effects. Not an ideal time to make decisions, and also the need to be flexible. So, the post shadow phase, sometimes called the echo, after the retrograde, when it prepares to go direct again, it allows you to process its effects. So, it's wise to tread cautiously and review your plans before you execute or put them into action. So, the shadow phases are much longer than the actual retrograde. It's like when we prepare for a holiday. Before going for a holiday, that is important. And even when you come back from a holiday, that period is also different. And the energies are tense before you go for the holiday and also after you come back from the holiday. And in between the holiday is the relaxing period. Similarly, is with the retrogrades. The shadow phases, which are before and after the actual retrograde, are much longer. So the most frustrating time is often when it's about to turn retrograde or direct, when it stations or pauses in the sky. So during this period, just relax, don't make any plans. The shadow phases last about 2 weeks before and 2 weeks after the retrograde. Now we are still in the shadow period, which began on August 22nd last month, before it goes retrograde on the 9th of September 2022. Then it remains retrograde till October 2nd, and the post retrograde shadow begins on October 2nd and finishes on October 16th. So, which means that we still have time to plan out our things, to review our things, check out on our things. And during the retrograde, you can reconfirm of what is happening. And then once it goes again direct, so again before it goes direct, there's a shadow period of 2 weeks. In that, you can recheck, get everything in order before it goes direct. So when a planet goes retrograde, the things associated with it are slow down, and unresolved or unfinished business is often the result. We feel as things people or situations are dealing behind the actual scenes, meaning what they deliver through their communication is different from what they are actually feeling, or as if their thoughts are impacted by a diverse perception. So, since Mercury is a planet that is largely connected to intelligence, communications, transport, and technology, we all need to pay attention and be alert so that nothing goes wrong in these areas. Now, Mercury also rules contracts, buying and selling, trading. All paperwork needs to be rechecked before signatures are imprinted. And of course, all these things can happen when Mercury isn't retrograde, but it's just during this time that you feel more affected and the annoyance of frustrating irritability is much more. So it's advisable to plan ahead and be extra mindful of Mercury's influence. Now, good things also happen. It's like you're in a car and stuck in a traffic jam or spot where waiting is for hours, and mentally you are prepared because the Mercury is retrograde, so you know that you have started much in advance. With a slight presence of mind, putting your car in a reverse gear can actually help you feel unstuck and perhaps better able to find a smoother route towards your destination, but only to discover that on your way you also found something which you were in search of. So that's an advantage. Technical glitches happen for you to replace with a better option. Your alertness or dreams bring an insight into a problem. Old friends get in touch. Whether things go right or wrong, the matter of the fact is that how you react to a situation or person is what matters. So during the retrogrades, the reactions are more impulsive and instant. So it's advisable that you just make or take more efforts in being organized, completing your current commitment before taking on new ones. Give due thoughts and diligence in reviewing your decisions, decluttering your environments, researching and planning before taking any steps, resolving conflicts and tensions so that you can either extend olive branches to make a fresh start or put closures to what doesn't seem to be working. Now, due to the concentrated planetary energies during the retrograde, communication, especially during the shadow periods, everything seems intense. And that is why expressing yourself clearly is as much a challenge as comprehending what the other individual is trying to say. Communications get affected, it affects everyone. So be warned that one must just try to focus harder and listen more than speak. So before launching anything, be sure you have worked out all your options. Stay away from the myth about Mercury retrograde that it creates havoc. Yes, the energies are felt differently. Challenges in life are always there. Only during the retrogrades we feel them strongly and know that no more can we escape the realities. We have to face them and we have to dissolve them. There are three passes or phases of Mercury retrograde. The first one is the first shadow is 2 weeks before the retrograde is when you become unconsciously aware that situations are getting out of control. The second phase is when the actual retrograde has taken place. You realize that consciously something needs to be done and you're rudely awakened. The third phase is after the retrograde, the 2 weeks after the retrograde, when it is preparing to get direct. Now, this is when 2 weeks after the end of retrograde, when it's ready to go direct, is the time when you realize what needs to be done, how to deal with the issues you confronted. Now, every transit teaches us how to deal with the issues that were lurking sometime behind the scenes. I believe and advocate that Mercury retrograde is the universe's way of saying that you are not ready to decide. There are other options that you are unaware of. So gather more information. Explore a little more and keep gathering your facts. Once the planet goes direct, you can perhaps then take a confident, calculated step. So, Mercury, the planet of logistics and information, is now retrograding through two different zodiac signs: the social air sign Libra and the pragmatic, practical earth sign Virgo. It begins its reversal in Libra on September 9th, where it'll backspin for the first 2 weeks of the retrograde. Then September 23rd, it enters Virgo until October 2nd. So the 2 weeks in Virgo after October 2nd are dealing with complete management, the critical aspect of it. And since Virgos are normally very perfect in whatever they do, because the earth energies are there. So after the air energies, after they have accumulated the facts, after the things, all the, you've gathered all the information, it's now time to put it in correct perspective. And that's earth energies for you, the Virgo earth energies. So Mercury retrograde in Libra offers us the opportunity to recalibrate our bonds with others also by recognizing where there are communication issues and restoring harmony where needed, and also gathering information. But be aware that while Mercury dances backward in Libra, it is also making a conjunction with Mars, which implies that before taking action, deliberate on your thoughts and ideas. So, most of Mercury's upcoming backspin will be happening in the sign of Libra. So, prepare yourself for dealing with matters of self expression and identity. It's a good time to review how you've been presenting yourself and interacting with the world. So, plan and stabilize your energies so that you can take advantage of the prevailing period. Stay tuned for the full moon in Pisces, which happens to fall on September 10th. So, till my next, stay blessed.